Well, here it is, Raising Royalty Part 3, and I am really delighted to be on here with you guys, and it's exciting to have Z or Zanya Lansdowne jumping on board with us again tonight, which is going to be fantastic. So hope you guys are all doing real well. I've been really enjoying this series and taking a lot out of it and getting great feedback and great testimonies already from you guys. So the first thing that we're going to do in this session is go over homework from yesterday. So yesterday's homework was very, very good. I really love that Jewish system of the 5 jars. The 5 jar system is so powerful, and I know that learning about the 5 jars system is actually what changed the game on finances for our family, so little by little. And just as a recap, the 5 jar system is an ancient Jewish system of how they do their finances that they've taken from their biblical interpretation, and they've developed a phenomenal system for how to steward their finances, which is amazing. So the homework from yesterday's session was, how do you do your finances? The Jewish system is 10% gets tithe, 10% goes to offering, 10% gets saved, 20% gets invested, and you live off 50%. So the homework was, how do you do it? Like, how does your finances work? How much of a percentage do you tithe? Do you do for offering? Do you do for savings, investing? And how much do you live off? The average Kiwi lives off 113%, which is a pretty normal dynamic in the West. We actually live off more than our income, which is why so many people are going into debt and why so many people are going backwards financially. But tonight we have got Z Lansdowne, and so as soon as I see Z on here, we will get into it, which is exciting. And I want to share the memory verse that I'm doing with my kids. I don't know if you guys do memory verses with your kids, but I do memory verses with my kids. And once they can do it perfectly, I give them a prize. And so because we're launching a new business thing with our kids at the moment, I've got a very cool memory verse that I'm doing with them, which is Proverbs 24:14. And this is awesome in that whole mindset of raising royalty, because again, Proverbs is written by Solomon, who was probably the wealthiest king that we see in the Bible. And one of the reasons why he was so wealthy is because of his association with wisdom. Remember when God asked Solomon, what's the one thing that you want? Solomon said, give me wisdom to be able to lead your people. Give me wisdom to be able to rule over your people the way that I'm supposed to rule over your people. And Proverbs 24:14, what that says is, the wealth of the wise is their crown. The wealth of the wise is their crown. That basically means that wisdom, if your system is founded on wisdom, it's going to actually produce abundance. So tonight, we're going to be looking at systems that actually are really working for people. And we're going to look at and explore a number of different ways that you could earn an extra 10K a month. Now, some of these systems are not systems that I'd recommend. They just, it's just a whole bunch of different ways that you could do it. And so we're going to check that out. I'm just going to invite Z into this convo, which is going to be awesome. So I'm going to invite her on in a second. And so it just takes a little bit of tweaking with the text. So here we go, pressing that button. We're adding Z. We're going to bring Z on, and I've got some exciting questions for Z, because she is a real legend at this. I have just suddenly realized that I need to get my headphones on, and they're right here. So boom, headphones. Z is being added in, and yeah, so right now what we're going to be doing is going to be interviewing Z on some handy ways that she knows about that people could add an extra 10K into their income on a monthly basis. So now, one option you could do, right, which I don't recommend this, but one option, if you wanted to add an extra 10K into your income on a monthly basis, let's say that you're earning on average. Hey, there's Z. Look at you,
Hello.
beautiful. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome.
I feel very
Uh,
welcome. Well,
and look, there's your beautiful sea views, which we
uh,
love so much. Hey,
yes,
um,
it's very dirty.
so, well, everyone, it's just a real pleasure to have Z, and so honoured that you can be with us. And I want to do an interview with Z tonight. And Z, what I want to ask you is uh, some practical ways, because we've been talking about this process so far. We've talked about people about the pain that poverty actually brings. And I know that pain just watching my own father nearly work himself to death, literally
Mm.
nearly died, working so many hours just to provide for us. And so we've talked about that pain and the frustration that we all feel when we're doing our best but we're going backwards. And we've talked about some very cool systems. In the last session, we talked about the Jewish principles, the 5 jars, which is an amazing system of tithing 10%, putting 10% in offerings, 10% in savings, investing 20%, and living a 50%. So what I want to check out with you, because I've enjoyed this process and this journey together, what are some systems, some ways that people could actually add an extra 10K a month into their income stream? And then after we've answered that and we've talked about that a little bit, I want to ask you as well about limiting beliefs of why people would automatically shut down and think, oh no, because I know that probably some people even right now are thinking, an extra 10K a month, that's not even possible, and probably starting to shut down and disengage. Oh, I couldn't do that. But I know you're an ace at tracking down lies. So what are your thoughts on extra ways people could add 10K a month into their systems?
Well, I love that you mentioned that because as soon as you said 10K, people would have been like, "Why 10K? Like, I can't make 10K." But you know, it's so true.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it takes just as much energy to make
Mm-hmm.
1K as
Mm-hmm.
it does 10K,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the system that you have, right?
Yeah, totally. Because,
Like
right, if you're,
if you're in,
no,
sorry, you
go.
go.
Well, I was just thinking, okay, I'll go. I was just thinking that, yeah, if your system, like the system that you use, the mindset that you use is like, okay, to make 10K extra, like
Hmm.
I get paid, if you got paid $50 an hour, then you're thinking, okay, so I could make 10K, an extra 10K this week if I work an extra 200, this month, if I work an extra 200 hours this month, which is like
Yeah,
an extra 50 hours a week. Now that is like, if your mind's ticking like that, this is not possible.
yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, that is what you could do. You could hustle, grind, and burn yourself out doing more hours, being away from your family more,
Mhm.
kind of, yeah, I mean, that's what half of our world's doing, right? And,
Yeah, totally.
you know,
Overtime, baby.
it's it's overtime and yeah. Ah.
So, okay,
But how,
if we're not going down the road of overtime and extra hustle, let's
yeah,
think about some other ideas.
the other option wait, is that lipstick on my teeth?
I can't tell because I just see a finger. I think your
The
teeth are
middle
looking great.
finger
Your teeth
too.
are, yeah, yeah. I'm not offended. No,
The
your teeth are
middle
banging.
finger. Sorry, I'm gonna stop mucking around. Okay, so what you could do is you could learn how to use the
Hmm.
internet where there is
Yes.
millions of people, and you could spend less hours getting more money because
Okay.
your product or your service is on with more eyes, with more people
Hmm.
wanting your product and more people wanting your service at the same time.
Yeah.
um, so that's an option.
Yeah.
Is that what you're
Absolutely.
asking me?
Yeah, totally. Now, okay, what about some dumb ideas? What are some other dumb ideas? Some things that we try to do in the attempt to, like, because I know for myself, there's so many systems, so many things that we try, but they fail, right? We're like, oh yeah, this is going to be awesome, but it is not going to be awesome. What about some ways that are just going to like, maybe you could save some people the hassle of trying to go down a road that's probably going to be a dead end.
can I talk about something that I did, which was network marketing?
Well, that would be awesome. I'd love to hear that.
Okay, so I loved network marketing. It taught me a lot. Like it taught me, about, like rising into my leadership and like the whole like networking, and I love people, but
Yes.
I was selling stuff that I liked, but I had to convince people that they needed it. So this
Hmm.
it just got tiring. I had to convince people that they needed it.
Yeah.
I had to then convince them that my product was actually the best in the market. And then I
Okay.
had to keep on convincing them to keep on buying it.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, so the way I made a fair bit of money, like I got a $20,000 bonus, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was
Great.
working
That's
really,
a great
really,
bonus.
it
Yeah.
is, but I worked really, really hard to get that. And it showed me that, like, yeah, if I have a goal, I can go after it. It showed me something inside of me. But then I found out afterwards that you lose your rank if you don't keep those numbers up the next month, and then you lose your bonus. And I'm like, what? Like,
Oh no.
and like now I'm not doing that, because it was just like, when you look at the amount of money that you're making, and the hustle and grind, and the coffee shop, and the meetings, and the weekends, and the nights, and the constantly on the computer, it wasn't like automated.
Yeah.
It was exactly the same as working 9 to 5, 8 to 7. It was
Yeah,
exactly the
totally. Well,
same.
there's hidden costs, isn't there? I know, like even for my brother, and he might actually be watching this. But I was just talking to him the other day, and there's hidden costs because he's got a really good salary. Like he's worked a long time, studied a long time to get this really good salary. But there's hidden costs of that. The salary that he's on has a really high demand, and then also there's like actually like a real dependency on there. Like he knows that he couldn't get that type of salary nearly anywhere else in the area that he lives. So there's like a dependency on actually holding the job. So in all these things, there's lots of hidden costs. But so for you, I know you've been doing really well in some of your other projects, but let me know, like, how about a system that you've seen out of all that you've done? What's probably the best thing that you've seen that gives people the ability to make an extra 10K a month?
Uh, Personally, like
Yeah, yeah.
what
What
I'm
would
doing now.
yeah? What's the best system? And for you, like obviously network marketing, you could make some money out of it, but you kicked it to the curb because that wasn't
Nah,
your vibe.
yeah,
But
yeah,
for you, what's your
definitely not.
vibe? What's working for you? Eh, What would be
Okay,
something that you think is a good option for people?
okay. Money wise, a really good option is to have something that is high commission. So you're doing
Okay.
less work, which means less, you're working less time, which time is valuable.
Hmm.
So a high commission offer. So let's say you have a product that you would be getting $1,000 commission, and
Yep.
then in a month you only have to sell 10 of those, or a two thousand
Okay.
dollar commission product.
Yep.
So that $2,000 commission product could be a product, or it could be a service like coaching, or you teaching something,
Yep.
or yeah, a high commission product, and then you
Yep.
only have to sell 5 of them a month. So it is
Yeah.
not
Very
like
cool.
that hustle and grind. Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Um, and this is a whole area that's exploding right now, and it's probably a new area for a lot of people. Just learning that there's so many products that businesses are trying to sell online at the moment, and they might be expensive products, which means there's lots of opportunity for a big commission, so high ticket commissions. What was like a classic commission for you in the network marketing?
Oh, it was just like, the $20 to $50 at a time. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's just not cool.
So yeah, so you're talking, like 200 to 500 sales
Mm-hmm.
a month to try and hit 10K or to try and get your bonuses.
Yeah.
So I mean, this whole idea of raising royalty and what I'm talking about now, and the ideas that I'm looking at for people, because I grew up poor. I watched my own dad nearly work himself to death through this through this dynamic, and in one stage it was just working for other people where he would be doing like regularly 100 hours a week, which is crazy. And then he transitioned from that and worked in family business, which he hustled, he grind, and like he worked so hard that I watched him nearly die, and I watched him get really sick as a result of how many hours he was doing. I watched like the health just took him so long to regain his health, and it really struggled through that time. And so I tried to like get out of that system, like get out of that mold, and so I've messed around with other business projects, and I've been scammed, and I've been ripped off a bunch of times, and I've made bad investments. Like not so long ago, I just lost $15,000 just in one investment. It all
Wow.
looked good. It all looked
Yeah.
good, but boom, they got scammed. So I've made some bad decisions, and then I've done the thing as well where you work 100 hours a week to hustle, and so much of it, to be honest, for me, the motivation is family and ministry. Like for me, the motivation is not I just want wealth for myself personally, but I want to see my family crushing it. I don't want to see the generational cycle perpetuate, and I want to reach more people. I want to impact lives, and so I've been looking for something that's actually going to empower me in ministry, and it's been great, because you have that option as well, like just to give up. Like, oh man, I've tried so many things. I'm just going to give up now. So
It's a massive burden, for parents too.
I think dads feel this, fathers, husbands feel this so much. Like I know all my mates, when I took them, they're so like this feel like, oh my gosh, we have to provide. There's that instinct of I'm supposed to be the provider, even if my wife's not putting the pressure on. And sometimes if things are like if in the past, I know for sure, not so much now, but in the past when I wasn't hitting I really was not providing the way that I was wanting to, my wife really started to feel it then when we were literally in poverty. But having gone through that process and actually starting to find some things that are working, this whole thing that you're talking about now of high ticket commission. So it's awesome for people who don't have a product to sell, right? Because that I think is a place where so many people get stuck in this whole, I have to set up a business and I have to create my own products, but that's where there's a big lie, is you can actually just sell other people's products for high ticket commission. So
being an affiliate.
Yeah, like an
someone
affiliate
else.
market for someone. Yep. What are stories that you've got that people are actually winning and doing this?
Okay. So I have a lot of friends that have been burnt by network marketing. And I've done lots of interviews on it because I love sharing other people's stories, because I've also coached people. So I'm coaching people into living their dreams and living their purpose and living their, God-given calling, and it all needs money, right? So I'm trying to help people do the right money. So I want to save people from that, where they end up hustling and grinding and not getting the money that they need. And then they're spending all their time away from their dreams anyway.
Absolutely. So you actually run out of energy.
Yeah. So then you can't live in your purpose and your message.
Yeah, come on.
So the stories of the people in my, are you talking about the people I interview?
Yeah, people you interview, friends that that are doing this whole affiliate marketing deal. How is it going for them? Have you got some stories of people winning? Because that's the big thing, the big question that I have whenever I'm going into things, because I've been burnt so many times, is how can I actually trust? How can I trust this whole idea? Is this not just another scam? Is there something reputable where people actually get results that you can actually relax and trust and actually go, okay, right, well, this is a good option?
Yeah. Okay. So I could share a million interviews and a million, no, not a million, but lots of stories I did one of she's either 55 or 60, this woman, and she was working in a old folks home, and then decided, man, what am I doing? I don't want to just spend my life looking after old people. Oh, because she asked this old person,
Yeah.
these old people, they have all these regrets that they're not living their life, and she's like, oh, that's what I'm
Oh,
doing right
no.
now.
Oh, no.
So anyway, she found our business and, learned about the high ticket offer and learned how to use the internet, some specific tools
Yeah.
on our platform. And, she was like, she didn't even have Facebook, so she didn't know nothing. And within 8 months, she earned more, retired herself from that job and is earning more than she did at that boring job. So she's able to travel. She can do it whenever she wants. She was in Queenstown with us. She's like an adventurous old lady. She's
Yes,
just,
I know a few of those, and they are a lot of
yeah,
fun.
yeah. And then you've got like my friend Sarah, who she was in network marketing doing weight loss products, small ticket, too many nights out, like just wasn't really like didn't really like enjoy the tribe anyway.
Yeah.
Found what we found, and she retired her husband within 3 months.
Wow.
They basically do their work once the kids are asleep, so they just do
Yeah.
family time all the time.
Yeah.
They take photos and they do all their stuff, and
Yes.
now they also have just designed a camper van and going to travel around Australia.
Oh, come on.
Um, but I've interviewed Ellie, who she earns 4 times more in her first year. She earned 4 times more than in her corporate job.
Wow.
Um, you've got another couple that they were already earning 6 figures in their coaching business, which is
Wow.
still high ticket value, but they
Yeah.
were able to 10 times their income within it was definitely within the first year.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they've got a
Wow.
baby now, so they were able to use the internet to keep rolling. But our system is awesome because it's automated, so you're not always having to be there. It's still working for you. It's still training
Yeah.
people.
Totally.
I don't
So,
know how much you've shared. Sorry, I may
oh,
have missed it.
yeah, no, no, no. That's beautiful. That's perfect what you're sharing. And I guess, for those that are tracking with us in the Raising Royalty program, you know, I want to give you guys some really good training, some really good insights, some biblical perspectives. Um, but I also want to give you some like don't do this of things that have failed. Um, and things that are going to burn you out. So I would say, like, don't be like my dad and don't do some things that I've done where you're just working 100 hours a week. Like, actually, there's not much time left after that. There's not much energy left after. Don't do that. There's other ways. There's easier ways. There's more beneficial ways for you and your family. Um, and I think as well, like, here's one of the things, right, that when I've talked with parents, I've talked with my friends, they're just like, Flip, I would love to set my kid up with a business. That would be awesome. And then just this stunned face, like, but what? Like, there's just not like, there's not an awareness. There's like, what, and who? I don't know anyone that's talking about the whole idea of how to set your kids up with a business or set your kids up, because this is the thing that royalty is always doing it. I think that that's probably one of the reasons why royalty in the upper class, like maintain that is because they are financially savvy. They're always talking about it, and they actually do a huge amount of work. But I think this is a crazy question. Like, where can I do something that's like set up a business for my kids? And I know when we talk about setting up a business, like just we just are really lacking in good ideas. And so that's why I love this whole idea, and it's what I mean. Why I've jumped on board with what you're doing too. But the whole idea of actually finding something now. I just want to say to everyone as well, there are so many options. So go out there and check some things out. There's so many different ways that you could do that you could create an income online. It's not the only thing, but if you want, with your kids, right, if your kids have got only a small amount of money to invest, then you could just um, you could, like, I guess just for myself, or what I'm doing with my family, I've got our kids involved in a program, in a business program where it doesn't really cost them much, and so then they can actually with us, we set the system up for them so that they can actually earn high ticket commissions, because I don't have time for them to actually create a business where we're like, okay, selling glasses or something. We were creating things like pens. I don't have the time on the side to create products. That's what I'm saying, is I don't have the time to create products. So
Yeah.
what I'm doing with my kids is showing them you don't have to create products, because this is where so many parents get stuck. They're trying to come up with brand new business ideas,
Yeah.
trying to reinvent the wheel, and that is so crazy expensive
Yeah.
to try and actually
Yeah.
reinvent the wheel. And that's what I'm trying to suggest to people, is actually don't try and reinvent the wheel, because there's already plenty of wheels out there. There's already plenty of products out there that you can actually jump on board, and the companies that are creating these products will really, really appreciate it if you can just sell their products for them, which means that so much of they'll just give you like all the infrastructure. And so that's what I love, and that's why I'm really grateful to you. I think maybe just one thing that I wanted to share with people as well is, like, I don't want this to sound real markety, if that's a word, but for those that are out there and wondering, like, okay, well, how did you hear about that? I actually heard about it from Z. It's one of the reasons why I got her on board, just to share some of the interviews with her, is because I just really, she's just someone that I can trust. And it's, like I said, I've been through a whole bunch of things that sucked, and so I walked away from them. I didn't go on board with them. But with the platform that Z's talking about, it gives you the ability to earn a residual income. But let's move on from that. I'll talk more with you guys about those options later. If you've got questions, you can drop them in. I'm going to talk more about them going forward in some of the sessions going forward. Just to let you guys know, I just wanted to chuck out there, just to jam in that, like, mess with that paradigm, like, to earn an extra $10,000 a month. You don't have to go out and work 200 hours a week. You don't have to start a brand new business that, you know, actually have to borrow $100,000 or something like that. You don't have to do that to get started. You don't have to sell low ticket items and like burn yourself out. Look for an opportunity where someone's selling high ticket items where you can make $1,000 or $2,000 a commission, and then if you're making $2,000 a commission, you really don't have to do that much. 5 sales a month, and you've hit 10K. So that's one option. But
can I share something? Can I share something from that? Actually, when we were in Queenstown, one of our mentors said, "Hey, let's have a competition, just to see like what we can do. Like, whoever makes the most money in the next 24 hours in our business wins."
Come on.
And people were making, like, it was so cool. People were making 2.5. Like, I made either 2.5 or 5,000. I forgot. Now someone made 12,000. It's just like when you, and it showed you, like, when you actually use your brain and when you've got a system, and you don't care about fear, then you've got that. But I also want to share is that here's the thing. I'm like a creative person. I love clothes, so I could easily. Clothes. I love clothes. It's like your expression, you know, like I love jewelry and whatever. It's my creative expression. So I love like clothes that I love, right? I'm like, at some point I would have been like, man, I wish I could sew because I like could make this into a business, you know? But it's like, well, actually, why don't I have a business where it's like easier than making a clothes brand? Because that's a lot of work. Even Shark Tank will say, do not go into clothes, you know?
Yes, yes.
But, or I could have an online business that makes lots of money and buy the clothes that I want instead of trying to make up a clothes brand. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's like
totally.
Sometimes we go around, like around and around. Like I used to always try, because I love travel, and I used to always try to think of like what kind of business could I do. Like tried to be a flight attendant, so I could travel more. But I'm too short to reach the top. They actually denied me because I'm too short.
That's rude, isn't it?
An online. It's very rude. Or have an online business where you can travel, do missions, adventures, whenever you want at the same time.
And this is the thing with raising royalty, right? Like raising royalty, the mindsets of royalty, they're not putting the idea in their kid's head that they need to go out there and get a job. And if you're watching and you're like, is he trying to put an idea in my head? Yeah, I'm absolutely trying to put an idea in your head. You know, like this whole raising royalty training is about trying to put ideas in your head. And one of the key ideas that I want to put in your head is that you're far better off with a system that can make money while you sleep than having to get a job. Like, that's how royalty thinks. They're like, royalty is always looking for a better system. They're not looking for a higher paid job. They look for a better system because it's the system that provides the finances for them so that they're earning money while they're sleeping, and then they can give all their energy, all their passion, all their heart. They can live wholeheartedly, ruling and reigning over their kingdom. And so that's what I love about what Z's talking about is better systems. So if you're raising royalty and you're doing a great job with your kids of actually raising royalty, then what you're doing is you're putting in their heads the idea that there's better systems, and you don't just put the idea in there. Like with my kids, I don't tease them. I don't tease them with that idea. I'm like, okay, guys, we can make money while we sleep, and they're like, what? And I'm like, I talk to our kids, and I'm like, we're gonna take this money and we're going to make it grow. And they keep on thinking, oh, we're going to go out and plant it in the garden. They keep on to take their money and plant it in the garden. So I'm like, this is the money that we're going to make grow. When I'm talking to them about their investments, and Zoe's always like, we've got to plant it. We're going to plant it. We're going to have a money tree. I'm like, kind of. And so I just want to say that, it's really about systems. But Z, what stops people like in this process? And other than just the fear of scams and the fear of this, but what are the beliefs or what are the mindsets that you just think hold people back and keep people trapped in the 9-to-5 mindset? Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Without saying being trapped in the 9-to-5 mindset, what holds people back?
Yeah, limiting beliefs.
What holds... limiting... Let's go with what holds people back.
Yep.
Because there's you.
Yes.
There's you, and then there's often, because this is what I've been coming across lately with either clients, with people in my business. It's like knowing so well that they want to do it, or knowing so well that they've God's led them to this, or they've been following the trail. And then it's just fear. Fear will come up. Is this a scam? Can I do this? I'm not smart. But then there's this other thing of having to ask the spouse, which a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But then sometimes people are scared to ask the partner.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the partner's fears or other things stop them from moving. But it's I think you just got to do the real homework instead of closing it, shutting it down because of, the fear or I can't do this. Actually dive in. That's why I love our platform, because you've got 14 days risk-free to see what we have available.
Yeah.
So you can actually see that anyone can do it. But limiting beliefs, I can't do this. What will people think? That's a massive thing. But, if you're thinking, what will people think? How else is that showing up in other areas of your life?
Yeah.
If you're letting your partner stop you from, stepping into something new or something that you feel is your next best step, how else is that showing up in other areas of your life where you're letting them stop you from, moving into your God-given calling or dream or getting out of mediocre small living? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Only you know your own limiting belief, but that's probably one of the best habits ever to have, is actually being the best listener to what's going on the inside, your internal talk.
Have you got a story of catching yourself out ever on some type of belief that was holding you back from really stepping into a great opportunity?
Probably the most, right now, what I can think of the most, because I talk about it a lot, is when my life changed is when because I remember this time where I was like, felt like I was like waiting for my husband, like trying to like get trying to be like with my husband. What are you passionate about? What do you want to do? All this kind of stuff, because that's just naturally me as a coach anyway.
Yeah.
And then I realized like I was waiting for him to tell me what he wanted to do. And I remember this day when I just got on my knees, like it was more in my heart, like got on my knees, like, God, you know what? I know I surrender. Like Ross can be passionate about saying when he wants, but I've got to surrender. Like at the end of my life, I'm accountable for my life, not my husband's.
Yeah.
So every day I've got to follow what you're calling me to do. I've got to step into the best version of me. I've got to live in my purpose and my gifts and talents and my message and not wait.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So that's been the biggest moment of my life when I said that. And from that's when God moves, you know. That's when stuff happens without you trying to make stuff happen. So that is deciding for yourself, I need to follow where God's leading me.
Yeah, beautiful. That's fantastic.
So if God's leading you to, like, I love that you're doing this, Benji, because there's not many people that, you're leading the way for so many, and you've had to fight your own fears and become who you are to lead us all into becoming better parents for our kids, you know, to set them up to have a freedom lifestyle. It's not just about us, it's about. So, you tell us.
Yeah. Actually, this is a good thing. This is a good point, because I've been, if you've been tracking with some of the other training that I've done, like recently I've done another training called the 7 Sacred Pathways to Intimacy, which is all about creating the best marriage, which is so funny because I was talking about all the nitty gritty in our relationship, and my wife and I, we both got in and we got real vulnerable. And yes, of course, that means that I'm talking about sex, and I'm talking about like the
actually, I think you said humping.
Yeah, I'm just in general, my default setting is inappropriate, which is kind of awkward when you're a pastor as well. Like, but then there's like some taboos, right? It's almost more taboo to talk about money than it is to talk about sex. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but here's the thing with the Jewish principles that we're looking at, the ancient Jewish principles, and look, it's the Jewish principles that set them apart, right? It's not because of it's not because of where they're from, it's not because of their race or anything like that. It's because of their mindsets. That's what always makes them disproportionately successful with their finances. And here's a crazy thing to me, like in church, this is crazy that we talk about tithing all the time, right? It's okay to talk about tithing in church, but investing, what? Like financial freedom, huh? What? Like doing an internet business, what? I mean, this is crazy, but you know, we will talk about tithing till the cows come home. We'll talk about special offerings, like we'll take at least one special offering a year. And I'm a pastor, so I talk about these things as well, and I run conferences, and we take up offerings for the speakers, and we take up offerings for the ministries, and we sow into projects all around the world. And so we talk about tithes and offerings a little bit, but do we talk about savings? Do we talk about investing? And here's the thing, like, churches need more money, ministries need more money, and so we talk about tithes and offerings and those things so that we can actually raise more money. But if we talked about investing, right, we would have more money. Because the ancient Jewish principle is to invest at least 20% of our income into other businesses that are going to produce an increasing measure of income. And so for me, like these are definitely challenged me. You know, like I know other people are challenged by me, and they react to me by being like, sweet, let's talk about sex, let's talk about money, let's talk about discipling nations. And I've been I've set up a company recently, and the company, one of the goals of the company is actually to raise up the sexiest Christian disciples in world history. I'm asking, what does that look like? What do the sexiest Christian disciples in world history look like? Because I think they would be on fire. I think that their fitness. Here's another topic that I talk about in church and I talk about online, and I want to do more of this as well as fitness. And I think people are like, fitness, we can't talk about that. What? Are you kidding? Like, I go to so many
Why?
pastors' meetings. Where they're so, like the majority of the pastors in the room are so overweight that the statistics are that, and I've even heard this, like, statistics are that pastors die early because they're so overweight. Not all of them, but there's a large percentage that do. So we miss out on their callings, everything they have to offer the world. And so I think, yeah, for me, I feel that limiting beliefs, things that hold me back. And so, for you guys that are listening, I know that this is stuff that people struggle with, and there's such a scam culture out there. But I just want to say that the things that I want to encourage you is, kick the scams to the curb. But there's so many systems, and you need to investigate it, right? You need to look at it, because if you don't, here's what you'll lose. And you got to think about this, right? Sometimes we don't take a risk because we don't want to fail. But the only way to guarantee your failure is just don't take a risk. And when you're risking, you're going to be risking what people think of you. You're going to potentially be risking money. But you've got to press through. If you want to leave behind the poverty mindset that has been established on us generationally, if you want to leave behind the poverty mindset that is entrenched in Christian thinking and entrenched in the education system and entrenched all around us, if you want to leave behind that poverty mindset that keeps people poor, you're going to have to take a risk and explore some things, learn some things, and learn those things. And I just maybe ask you this question, Z. It's along the lines of success leaves footprints, right?
Yeah.
Success leaves footprints. If you
And
look
clues.
at people who are winning in this whole area of creating financial freedom for the next generation, for their kids, what would be some of the things? If you just said, these guys, these are probably the biggest winners I've seen of doing this, actually raising royalty, creating systems that their kids can inherit. What would be some of those clues that you've seen?
They think big. They take big faith steps. They think outside of the box. I mean, one of my favorite things is just to be around big people. And what I mean is just big thinking people. And that's why you're my friend, because I'm like, yes, he's the man. You're big thinking, and you're not just going to conform to small living. That's not who God is, and that's not who we're called to be. So I love the people. So when you say success leaves footprints, I always think success leaves clues. So I'm going to follow the people that are living successful lives, and I ask them, what are you doing differently? What's happening? I was in Bali with my mentors, and at 23 he was he's now making $1 million, 7 figures a month from the internet, and he's paid for all the courses so that we don't have to. He's set up a system so that we don't have to do that, and he's got an amazing team around him who, done $1 billion in sales and all that stuff. These guys are, and hanging out with people that have done courses for, people that are coming out of sex trafficking. These are big thinking people, and it's really important to get around people like that. Otherwise, you actually will feel like you've just got weights around your ankles, and you've got to try drag all the people around you. Get around big thinking people. Get around Benji more. Stay in the embassy.
Sweet. Hey, well, that's great. I just want to thank you very much for that. And guys, this is the homework for today. So I'm going to talk about the homework, and then we're going to wrap it up. But everyone, if you can give Z a virtual clap and some appreciation. Just love you and thank you for being with us. And your sea views are looking stunning.
Love you too.
So that's very, very cool. Just love being with you as well. Thanks for everything that you bring, and thanks for sewing into us. And so, guys, the homework that I want to share with you tonight, the homework to get into is the power of learning. All right, the power of learning. Along the lines of success leaves footprints. What is one of the most powerful things that you've learned that's changed your life? All right, and I'm excited for tomorrow. We've got a brilliant live coming in tomorrow to help you discover genius ideas. So bless you, and we'll catch you tomorrow. I'll shoot you a message very shortly as well on when we're going live tomorrow. Bless you. Bye-bye. And thank you, Z. See ya.
Love you,
Bye-bye.
bye. Uh-oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Get me out of here. Get me out of here.